The lands between were once a place of beauty and harmony, ruled by the Golden Order under the guidance of Queen Marika the Eternal. The Golden Order itself was a kind of divine law, ensuring that the power of the Elden Ring kept the world in balance. The Elden Ring was not just a physical object, it was the very foundation of existence, a symbol of divine order that maintained the structure of life, death, and everything in between. At the heart of the lands between lies the Erd Tree, a massive glowing tree whose golden light showered the world with its blessings. The Erd Tree was the physical manifestation of the Golden Order's power, and through it, the Elden Ring exerted its influence. The lands between thrived under its light, and the people revered the Erd Tree as the source of life and prosperity. Under Queen Marika's rule, the demigods, her children, upheld the order, each representing a fragment of the power she controlled. However, all that changed when the Elden Ring was shattered. No one knows the exact reason why Queen Marika did it. Some say it was a deliberate act of rebellion, others believe she was influenced by forces beyond her control. But the consequences were catastrophic. The Elden Ring, which had maintained the very fabric of reality, was broken, and the world was plunged into chaos. With the ring's destruction came the Great Shattering, a war between Marika's demigod children, each of whom had claimed a piece of the broken ring, known as Great Runes. The demigods, once allies under their mother's rule, turned against one another in a brutal civil war. The shattering ravaged the lands between, leaving entire cities in ruin, and the peace that had once been upheld by the Golden Order was shattered, just like the ring itself. Among Marika's children were powerful figures like Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, and Radahn, a god in his own right. Godrick the Grafted, one of the lesser demigods, sought to prove his worth by grafting the limbs of his enemies onto his own body, a grotesque attempt to gain more power. Meanwhile, Malenia the Severed, a fierce warrior and one of the most tragic figures in the story, fought relentlessly despite being afflicted by the Scarlet Rot, a deadly disease that slowly consumed her body. As the war dragged on, the lands between became a desolate place. The Erd Tree's light dimmed and its power faded. The cities fell into decay, the people lost hope, and the once vibrant world was now a shadow of its former self. It was into this broken world that you, the Tarnished, are summoned. The Tarnished are a group of exiles who were once blessed by the Erd Tree, but had their grace stripped away when they were banished from the lands between. Unlike the demigods, the Tarnished are not born of divine blood, but they are still chosen by the Greater Will, the mysterious force behind the Elden Ring. Despite their fall from grace, the Tarnished are given a second chance. They are called back to the lands between to reclaim their lost power and potentially become the next Elden Lord. You begin your journey as a humble Tarnished, armed with little more than a basic weapon and a desire to restore your place in the world. The road ahead is treacherous, filled with powerful enemies, ancient magic, and twisted beings that have been corrupted by the Shattering. But as you journey deeper into the lands between, you begin to realize that your fate is intertwined with the very future of the world. Throughout your travels, you will meet many important figures, each with their own agendas and desires for the future of the lands between. Some, like Melina, will guide you on your quest, offering you counsel and support. Others, like Ranni the Witch, will tempt you with alternative visions for the world, leading you down paths that diverge from the Golden Order's strict rule. As you gather the Great Runes and make your way towards the Erd Tree, the ultimate question looms. What will you do when you finally stand before the shattered remains of the Elden Ring? Will you restore the Golden Order, bringing back the old ways? Or will you forge a new path, breaking free from the constraints of the past and shaping a new future for the lands between? Your quest as the Tarnished is not just about collecting the pieces of the Elden Ring, it's about understanding the many forces at play in the lands between and deciding which vision of the world's future aligns with your own. One of the first significant characters you encounter is Melina, a mysterious woman who offers to guide you on your journey. She serves as your companion, helping you unlock the power of grace, which allows you to grow stronger. Melina's true purpose, however, is tied to the Erd Tree and the Elden Ring. She seeks to burn the Erd Tree, a radical action that would allow you to reach the center of its power and confront the forces that have corrupted the world. Along the way, you'll also encounter the demigods, those who hold the great runes, each with their own twisted version of what the future should be. Godrick the Grafted, for example, resides in Stormveil Castle, the ruins of a once great fortress now overrun by his monstrous creations. Godrick is obsessed with power, and he believes that by grafting the limbs of the strongest warriors onto his body, he can become the ultimate ruler. Further to the north, in the frozen region of the mountaintops of the giants, you'll face the enigmatic fire giants, who have long opposed the Golden Order. The fire giants were once a proud and powerful race, but they were nearly wiped out in the Shattering. Now, they stand as one of the last remaining obstacles to your journey to the Erdtree. But perhaps the most tragic encounter of all is with Malenia the Severed, the undefeated warrior who wields the power of the Scarlet Rot. Malenia is not just a formidable opponent, she is a symbol of the price of the Shattering. Despite her immense strength, she is slowly being consumed by the disease that has ravaged her body. And her story is one of resilience in the face of inevitable decay. But on your journey to become the Elden Lord, you first have to fight bosses and demigods to obtain great runes. In Elden Ring, the demigods and bosses are central to the lore and gameplay, each presenting a significant challenge to the player. The demigods hold great runes, fragments of the shattered Elden Ring, and obtaining these is crucial to becoming the Elden Lord. Along the way, you'll face a series of legendary bosses that test your skills, endurance, and determination. Godrick the Grafted, the Lord of Stormveil Castle. Godrick the Grafted is the first demigod you'll face in Elden Ring. He is one of the weakest, yet his story is filled with hubris and desperation. Known as the Lord of Stormveil Castle, Godrick is a distant descendant of Queen Marika, but his power pales compared to his siblings and relatives. Godrick's obsession with strength leads him down a grotesque path. He grafts the limbs of fallen warriors and creatures onto his own body in a desperate attempt to match the power of the other demigods. His castle, Stormveil, is a fortress filled with traps, enemies, and the remnants of his twisted experiments. When you finally face him in battle, Godrick's appearance is monstrous, with multiple arms grafted onto his form. The fight is challenging, especially for players new to the game, as Godrick uses his size and power to overwhelm you. Halfway through the battle, he performs a shocking act by severing his own arm and grafting the head of a dragon onto it, allowing him to breathe fire and increase his reach. Despite his grotesque nature, Godrick holds one of the great runes, and upon defeating him, you claim his great rune of the Unborn, a key to continuing your journey toward becoming the Elden Lord. Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon, the Sorceress of Raya. Rennala is not a demigod in the same way as others, but she holds one of the great runes due to her connection with Radahn, a key figure in the story. Rennala was once a powerful sorceress who led the Academy of Raya, the premier institution of magic in the lands between. She was married to Radahn, a mysterious figure tied to the Golden Order, and together, they had children who would go on to become significant figures in the lore. However, Rennala's life took a dark turn when Radahn left her to return to Queen Marika. Heartbroken and consumed by grief, she became obsessed with her past, retreating into the depths of Raya grand library. There, she guards the great rune that was left in her possession. The battle with Rennala is unique in that it's heavily tied to sorcery. The first phase involves breaking through her shielded minions, while the second phase transforms the arena into a dreamlike moonlit lake, where Rennala harnesses powerful magic to challenge you. Her attacks are visually stunning, and defeating her feels like overcoming the essence of magic itself. Though Rennala doesn't drop a usable great rune for combat, she offers players the chance to respect their character, allowing you to realign your stats and abilities. Radahn, Starscourge General, the Devourer of the Stars. Starscourge Radahn is one of the most iconic and tragic bosses in Elden Ring. He is one of the most powerful demigods, feared across the lands between for his immense strength and mastery of gravitational magic. Radahn once fought alongside his siblings and was a respected general, but the Shattering drove him to madness. Radahn's story is closely linked to the stars themselves. His power was so great that he was able to halt the movement of the stars, freezing them in the sky and preventing their influence on the world. This act of defiance against cosmic forces is both awe-inspiring and a sign of Radahn's sheer power. You encounter Radahn during the Radahn Festival, a large-scale battle event held to put the general out of his misery. By this point, Radahn has succumbed to madness, wandering the barren Wayland dunes on his tiny horse, Leonard, while consumed by the rot that has overtaken his body. The fight against Radahn is one of the most memorable in the game. It's a massive battle, where you can summon a host of NPC allies to help you take on the towering demigod. Radahn's attacks are devastating, and his gravity-based abilities allow him to leap into the air and rain down destruction from above. Defeating Radahn grants you the Great Rune of the Star Scourge, a powerful reward that reflects his dominance over the heavens. Morgott, the Omen King, the protector of the Erd Tree. Morgott, known earlier as Morgott, he is encountered multiple times throughout the game. Morgott is one of Queen Marika's children, and, like his brother Mohg, was born an Omen, a cursed child marked by horns and other deformities. However, unlike Mohg, Morgott remains loyal to the Golden Order, despite the fact that he is shunned and outcast by the very system he serves. Morgott is the guardian of the Erd Tree, protecting it with a fierce loyalty that borders on obsession. He believes that the Golden Order is the only way forward, and he fights to protect it even as the world around him falls apart. When you finally face Morgott at the foot of the Erd Tree, he reveals his true form as the Omen King. The fight is intense, with Morgott using his mastery over holy magic to launch devastating attacks. He fights with the fury of someone who has been rejected his whole life, yet remains fiercely loyal to the very thing that rejected him. Defeating Morgott grants you his Great Rune, but it also opens the path to the Erd Tree itself, bringing you one step closer to becoming the Elden Lord. Mohg, Lord of Blood, the ruler of the Mohgwyn dynasty. Mohg, the twin brother of Morgott, is one of the darkest and most twisted demigods in Elden Ring. While Morgott remained loyal to the Golden Order, Mohg rejected it entirely, seeking power through forbidden means. He became the Lord of Blood, ruling over the Mohgwyn dynasty, a cult dedicated to the worship of the Formless Mother, a god of blood. Mohg's domain is hidden deep beneath the surface of the Lands Between, in an area called Mohgwyn Palace. His desire for power is so great that he abducts Miquella, one of the most important figures in the lore, and attempts to use Miquella's power to create a new order, one that revolves around blood and suffering. The fight against Mohg is a brutal one. His blood-based attacks are relentless, and he uses powerful incantations that can sap your health while healing himself. The arena is soaked in blood, and the intensity of the battle reflects Mohg's ambition and madness. Defeating Mohg grants you the Great Rune of the Bloodlord, a twisted and dark reward that symbolizes his reign over the blood arts. Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy, the Serpent King of Mount Gelmir. Rykard, the Lord of Blasphemy, is another of Queen Marika's demigod children who turned against the Golden Order. Rykard's story is one of ambition and a desire for forbidden power. He rejected the Golden Order and sought out the power of the ancient gods, aligning himself with the Great Serpent, a terrifying entity of blasphemy and decay. Rykard rules over Mount Gelmir and leads the Volcano Manor, a faction that opposes the Golden Order and seeks to overthrow its rule. His desire for power led him to allow the Great Serpent to devour him, transforming him into a monstrous fusion of man and serpent. The fight against Rykard is one of the most unique in the game. Using the special Serpent Hunter weapon, you face Rykard in a massive arena as he unleashes the full power of the Great Serpent. His attacks are devastating, and the fight feels like a battle against an ancient god. Upon defeating him, you obtain the Great Rune of the Blasphemous, a symbol of his rebellion against the Divine Order. These demigods and their great runes form the core of your journey in Elden Ring. Each boss not only presents a mechanical challenge, but also adds depth to the lore, showing the fractured and broken state of the world. Their motivations, ambitions, and tragedies are woven into the very fabric of the game, and by defeating them, you move closer to your ultimate goal, to ascend as the new Elden Lord. Throughout your journey, you will be forced to make difficult choices. The people you meet will present you with different philosophies. Some will advocate for the restoration of the Golden Order, while others will offer more radical solutions, such as embracing the chaos of the frenzied flame or seeking the cold freedom of the Age of the Stars. As you approach the Erd Tree, the stakes become even higher. You'll have to decide whether to follow the path of the Golden Order, which promises stability but also carries the weight of the past's mistakes, or forge a new way forward, whether through destruction or reinvention. After overcoming countless trials and enemies, your journey leads you to the foot of the Erd Tree, where you must confront the ultimate challenge, the Elden Beast, the living embodiment of the greater will. The Elden Beast is not just a creature. It is the divine force that controls the fate of the world, and defeating it is the final step towards claiming the Elden Ring and becoming the Elden Lord. This battle is not only a test of your strength and skill, but also a test of your resolve. The decisions you've made throughout your journey, whether to align with certain factions, to embrace or reject the power of the Elden Ring, now come to fruition. The future of the lands between rests in your hands. Once the Elden Beast is defeated, you are presented with the shattered remains of the Elden Ring. This is the moment where your choices determine the fate of the world. The decisions you've made and the allies you've gained throughout your journey now open up multiple possible endings, each representing a different vision for the future of the lands between. The shattered Elden Ring lies before you, and the future of the lands between hangs in the balance. What will you do? Will you restore the Golden Order, bringing back the old ways of stability and control, or will you choose a different path, embracing chaos, darkness, or even madness? Let's dive deeper into each of the possible endings. Ending 1. Age of Fracture. The Age of Fracture is the most straightforward ending in Elden Ring. In this ending, you, the Tarnished, choose to mend the Elden Ring and restore the Golden Order. This decision reflects a desire to return to the way things were before the Shattering, believing that the Golden Order, despite its flaws, is the best chance for the lands between to regain some semblance of stability and peace. After defeating the Elden Beast, you stand over the shattered remains of the Elden Ring. The power to restore it lies within your grasp, and by choosing this path, you repair the broken ring, reforging it to its former glory. By doing so, you reinstate the old laws and principles of the Golden Order. In this version of the world, you ascend to the throne, becoming the new Elden Lord. The Golden Order is once again in control, and you are its figurehead, responsible for leading the world into the future. However, this ending is not as simple as it seems. While you have restored the Elden Ring, the world is still fractured in many ways. The war, the corruption, and the suffering caused by the Shattering cannot be undone with the mere reassembly of the ring. The Golden Order you restore is the same order that once led to the division and conflict among Marika's children, and by reinstating it, you are also reviving its old flaws. This ending suggests a bittersweet conclusion, a return to order, but not necessarily to peace. The lands between may regain stability, but the deeper issues that led to the Shattering are still present. The demigods, the broken systems, and the suffering of the people remain. As the new Elden Lord, you are tasked with managing these challenges, knowing that the old ways may not be enough to fix the fractured world. In a way, the Age of Fracture represents the idea of tradition and the belief that returning to the past can restore balance. But it also serves as a reminder that the past is not without its problems, and by choosing this path, you must accept the burden of those unresolved issues. Ending 2. Age of the Duskborn. The Age of the Duskborn is a stark contrast to the Age of Fracture. In this ending, you choose to side with Fia, the deathbed companion, and embrace the concept of death as a necessary part of the natural order. Fia's philosophy is centered around the idea that the Golden Order's denial of death is unnatural, and that true balance can only be achieved by allowing death to return to the world. Throughout your journey, you encounter Fia, a mysterious figure who seeks to bring about the Age of the Duskborn. Fia believes that the Golden Order's strict control over life and death has disrupted the natural flow of the world. The Erd Tree, under the influence of the Greater Will, prevents true death, keeping souls trapped in a cycle of rebirth. Fia argues that this denial of death is the root cause of the suffering and chaos in the lands between. In the Age of the Duskborn ending, you help Fia retrieve the Rune of Death, a forbidden power that had been sealed away by the Golden Order. By reintroducing the concept of death into the world, you allow for the natural cycle of life and death to resume. Souls are no longer trapped, and the dead can finally find peace. This ending is somber, yet peaceful. The lands between become a place where death is no longer feared but accepted as part of the natural order. The world enters a period of quiet decay, where life continues, but the constant denial of death is no longer a burden. The Erdtree's light dims, and the once golden glow of the lands between fades into a dusky twilight. As the new Elden Lord, you preside over this new era, where the boundaries between life and death are blurred. The Age of the Duskborn is a time of acceptance and release, where the world slowly decays but finds a new kind of peace. It is not a triumphant ending, but it offers a sense of closure to the endless cycle of life and death that had plagued the lands between for so long. Ending 3, Age of Order. The Age of Order ending is another path that involves restoring the Elden Ring, but with a significant twist. In this ending, you align yourself with Brother Corrin and the Golden Mask, two figures who believe that the Golden Order can be perfected. Rather than simply restoring the old order, you strive to create a new, more refined version of it, one that corrects the mistakes of the past. Brother Corrin is a devout follower of the Golden Order, but he becomes disillusioned when he realizes that the current system is flawed. He believes that the only way to truly restore peace to the lands between is by improving the Golden Order itself. Alongside the enigmatic Golden Mask, Corrin seeks to uncover the deeper truths of the Elden Ring and to create a more perfect world. In the Age of Order ending, you embrace this philosophy and work to create a new version of the Elden Ring, one that maintains the stability and structure of the Golden Order, but without its inherent flaws. This ending represents a vision of progress and reform, where the mistakes of the past are acknowledged and corrected, rather than repeated. As the new Elden Lord, you bring about a new era of prosperity and order, a time where the laws of the Golden Order are enforced with greater fairness and justice. The lands between enter a new golden age, one where the Erdtree's light shines brighter than ever before. This ending is one of hope and renewal, where the world moves forward, rather than looking back. However, this vision of perfection comes with its own challenges. The idea of a perfect order is inherently subjective, and not everyone may agree with the new system you've created. While the Age of Order offers the promise of a better future, it also raises questions about whether true perfection can ever be achieved. The world may be more stable, but the cost of enforcing such order may lead to new forms of oppression or control. In the end, the Age of Order is an optimistic ending, but one that comes with the burden of leadership and the responsibility to ensure that the new order you've created does not repeat the mistakes of the past. Ending 4, Age of the Stars. The Age of the Stars is one of the most unique and mysterious endings in Elden Ring. In this ending, you choose to follow Ranni the Witch, a powerful and enigmatic figure who seeks to overthrow the influence of the Greater Will and the Golden Order entirely. Ranni's vision for the future is one of freedom and self-determination, where the people of the lands between are no longer bound by the will of the gods. Ranni is a fascinating character, deeply connected to the lore of the game. She is one of Marika's children, but she rejects the authority of the Greater Will and the Erdtree. Ranni's story is one of rebellion and defiance. She seeks to carve out her own destiny, free from the control of the divine forces that have ruled over the lands between for so long. Throughout your journey, Ranni offers you the chance to join her in her quest to bring about a new age, the Age of the Stars. This ending represents a complete departure from the Golden Order and the influence of the Elden Ring. Instead of restoring the old ways or creating a new version of them, you help Ranni establish a new world, one where the people are no longer bound by the divine. In the Age of the Stars ending, you and Ranni embark on a journey into the unknown. The lands between are left behind, and you set out into the cosmos, exploring new realms and possibilities. The Erdtree's light fades, and the world enters a new age of darkness and uncertainty. But this darkness is not necessarily a bad thing. It represents the freedom to choose one's own path, unbound by the constraints of fate or divine will. This ending is perhaps the most liberating, but also the most ambiguous. The Age of the Stars offers a future where the people of the lands between are free to determine their own destinies, but it also leaves the world in a state of uncertainty. What lies beyond the stars is unknown, and the journey you embark on with Ranni is filled with both possibility and danger. As the new Elden Lord in this ending, you are not a ruler in the traditional sense. Instead, you become a guide, helping to usher in a new era of exploration and discovery. The Age of the Stars is a time of infinite potential, but it is also a time of great risk. The future is unwritten, and it is up to you and Ranni to shape it as you see fit. Ending 5. Lord of Frenzied Flame. The Lord of Frenzied Flame is one of the darkest and most extreme endings in Elden Ring. In this ending, you align yourself with the Frenzied Flame, a chaotic force that seeks to burn everything down and bring about the complete destruction of the world. This ending is about rejecting all forms of order, be it the Golden Order, the Age of Stars, or any other system that tries to maintain control. The Frenzied Flame is tied to the Three Fingers, a mysterious entity that embodies madness and chaos. When you meet Hyetta, a blind maiden who follows the path of the Frenzied Flame, she leads you on a journey to embrace this destructive force. Unlike the other endings, where you are given a choice to restore or reshape the world, the Lord of Frenzied Flame ending offers no hope for rebuilding. Instead, it is a complete annihilation of the old world, making room for something entirely new. To achieve this ending, you must undergo a transformation. By allowing the Frenzied Flame to take control, you lose your former self and become an avatar of chaos. The final battle against the Elden Beast is fought not with the intention of restoring the Elden Ring, but with the purpose of obliterating everything that it stands for. When you finally defeat the Elden Beast and sit upon the throne as the Lord of Frenzied Flame, the world is set ablaze. The Erd Tree, the lands between, and everything that once existed are consumed by the flames of chaos. The world enters a state of madness, where the boundaries of reality and sanity break down. It is a vision of destruction, but also of freedom. Freedom from all constraints, rules, and systems. The Frenzied Flame represents ultimate rebellion, not just against the Golden Order, but against all forms of control. In this ending, you reject not only the gods, but the very idea of order itself. You become the embodiment of chaos, burning away everything so that something new can eventually rise from the ashes. This ending raises profound questions about the nature of freedom. Is it worth destroying everything to free oneself from the chains of fate? Or is this chaos too dangerous, too unpredictable to lead to anything good? The Lord of Frenzied Flame ending is a dark, nihilistic conclusion to the story of Elden Ring, where hope is abandoned in favor of total destruction. The Age of Despair is one of the darkest and most disturbing endings in Elden Ring. This ending is linked to the Dung Eater, a cursed and reviled figure who desires to spread his own brand of suffering across the lands between. The Dung Eater believes in a world where death and decay reign supreme, and his ending represents the collapse of life and the natural cycle, as everything falls into endless despair. Throughout the game, the Dung Eater is introduced as a madman locked away in the Round Table Hold. He despises the idea of a world where souls find peace, instead wanting to curse the world so that all who die are cursed to become soulless, grotesque beings known as those who live in death. His philosophy is one of nihilism and hatred, a rejection of any form of hope or redemption. To achieve the Age of Despair ending, you must fully ally yourself with the Dung Eater, collecting seedbed curses and fulfilling his twisted goals. This involves corrupting the bodies of the dead with the curse, ensuring that their souls will never find rest. When you finally defeat the Elden Beast and sit upon the throne in this ending, the world falls into a state of eternal decay. The lands between become a cursed wasteland where no one can find peace in death. Life becomes a prison of endless suffering, where even death offers no release. This is the ultimate form of nihilism, rejecting all hope, all order, and all peace in favor of eternal despair. The Age of Despair ending is a dark reflection of what happens when power is wielded without compassion or hope. The Dung Eater's vision for the world is one of horror, where nothing good remains and everything is doomed to rot in the shadow of his curse. In this ending, the player embraces the most destructive, hateful vision possible for the lands between, forsaking all hope of salvation and condemning the world to eternal torment. Each ending in Elden Ring offers a unique perspective on the nature of power, control, and freedom. Whether you choose to restore the Golden Order, embrace chaos, or forge a new path into the stars, your journey as the Tarnished is ultimately defined by the choices you make. The world of the lands between is one of great beauty, mystery, and suffering, and the ending you choose reflects your understanding of that world. In the end, Elden Ring is not just a story about gods and demigods. It is a story about humanity and the search for meaning in a broken world. The power to shape that world lies in your hands, and the ending you choose is a reflection of the values you hold dear. Will you restore order, bring about chaos, or venture into the unknown? The choice is yours, and with it comes the power to define the future of the lands between. Thanks for watching. If you loved this video, please leave a like, share, and subscribe for more.